friction is sometimes useful. Till now we have seen that friction, what it is doing, it is opposing the motion. That means it is useless. No, it is not useless, it is sometimes useful. For example, friction is useful for many of our daily activities, such as friction is between the feet and the ground help us to walk on the ground. It is possible to write with the help of a pencil on a paper due to friction between the pen and the pencil and the paper. If you are writing with the help of a pen, then why the pen doesn't go away, why it is standing on the surface with the help of your hand, and why you can write? Because friction is opposing its motion. It is possible to write on a blackboard due to the friction between the chalk and the blackboard. The chalk and the blackboard have some surface, when they are touching each other they have some opposing motion, and that allows us to write. Next, friction between the tires and the roads help automobiles to move on the road. Friction between the bricks helps in the construction of building. For example, when you are keeping some bricks over one another, then you can make a full building. So you can see these examples on the picture. Now, friction is sometimes undesirable. Soles of the shoes wear out due to friction. So when you are walking for many years, many hours, many days, then after some time you see that the soles of your shoe has wear out. Why? Due to friction. Tire of bicycle and automobile wear out due to friction, and steps of staircase and foot over bridge in railway stations wear out due to friction. Knives and razors also loses their sharpness due to friction. Now you can see these examples. This happens due to friction only. Whenever you see these tires wear out, this is due to friction, because the opposing force is there due to friction. Some opposing force is there. When you are walking, you are going towards the front side, and that allows you to stop on the point wherever you are going, and you can walk on the surface due to friction, and this friction opposes the surface of your shoes, surface of the tires, surface of the staircase, and that become blunt. Now, increasing friction. How you can increase friction? Friction can be increased by increasing the roughness of the surface in contact. For example, the sole of the shoe are grooved to have a better grip on the floor. For example, have you ever seen the footballer shoes? These footballer shoes are always having long grips. Why? Because they allow the footballer to have more grip and to run on the ground. The tires of the vehicles are thread to increase the grip on the road. You have seen the tires are not plain, they have some grips, and due to these grooves they have more friction and they can move on the road. The brake pads of vehicles are rough to stop moving vehicle when the brakes are applied. Have you ever seen the disc brake of a bike? You can see that on the discs there are some holes. These holes allow the rough surface, and which allows to stop the brakes of a vehicle. Gymnasts apply some coarse substance in their hand for a better grip. Have you ever seen somebody's before in a kabaddi match? For example, you can see in a kabaddi match, before going for a raid, they used to bring some sand on their hand so that more and more friction can be there. Next, you can see this example on this picture. Next, reducing friction. Now, how can you reduce the friction? Friction can be reduced by using lubricants like powder or oil and grease, using rollers on wheels, using ball bearings. We sprinkle powder on a carom board to reduce friction. Oil or grease is applied between moving parts of machines to reduce friction. Rollers are used in luggage bags to reduce friction. Wheels are used in vehicles to reduce friction. Ball bearings are used in ceiling fans, bicycles and vehicles to reduce friction. You can see this example in these pictures, bearings and different other things. Now, fluid friction. Now we will discuss about the fluid friction. Fluid friction is the force of friction exerted by liquid and gases on object moving through them. Fluid friction depends upon number one, the speed of the object, shape of the object, the nature of the object. So what is fluid friction? Fluid friction is a friction which is exerted by some liquid. Whenever you are throwing some liquid downside, what happens? All the liquids goes one after another, and that one is due to fluidity. And whenever this liquid, for example, if you see if any object is moving on water, then what happens? The water also opposes some force. Some opposing force is there due to that water. Whenever you swim on water, then what happens? You need to apply some force to go front, otherwise you will be stopped on the point. Why? Because the water is opposing your motion. That is known as the fluid friction. That depends on the speed of the object, shape of the object, and nature of the object. For example, birds flying in air have streamlined body to reduce friction. For example, have you ever seen aeroplanes? In aeroplanes and spacecraft have streamlined body to reduce friction. Why the aeroplane's front side is that streamlined? It is pointed because it can cut through the air and it can move. Fishes living in water are streamlined body to reduce friction. Why? Have you ever seen the fishes who are living in water? They have their body streamlined. In dolphin you will see their mouth is pointed. Every fish mouth is pointed because they have to cut through the water and move. Now you can see these examples. This space shuttle you see, these aeroplanes you see, and the different other things you see. So I hope you have understood this chapter. If you have any confusion regarding this chapter, you can contact me